Good evening, one and all. Welcome to Javi Unboxed. Actually, no, Javi chatting with Javi. Hey, Bobby. Hey, Mike. I'm just all confused today. Um, Tonight I shall be. Well, I'm gonna fix a few, or rather, I'm assembling a few. Let's see if the word doesn't escape me. Spindle cables. All right, so I'm assembling a few spindle cables here today. And so I figure I'll get about 4 done today during our little show. Maybe more, maybe less, whatever. So, greetings, one and all. Let me see if I put you guys here on the. If I can get this cable to cooperate. All right. So let's see. Is that? Yep, that's upside up ish. All right. So let me lock this in place here. So there's our wonderful little workbench. Hey, Jason, how's it going? Dave, how's it going? Good to see you all today. And how's everybody been doing? Anybody been getting any bad weather or anything like that? Hopefully not. Hopefully everything's all hunky-dory with everybody. Let's see here. Where was I? Okay, I'm doing this and this. Okay. I'm just going through the motions of the soldering. Okay, good. I've got all my heat shrink. That's important as always. Remind you guys, when you do soldering, heat shrink first, connectors first. Actually, connector first, then heat shrink, and then, then the solder. Just in case. All right. So let us put our solder face on. Okay, so we got our solder faces on, and let's solder. Good evening, Dennis. How's it going? Good to see you. By the way, folks, during the day, on occasion, on quite a number of occasions. I mean, most of the time, I'm obviously my family's either working or at school, and I am most of the time working at school. I mean, working. It's funny. I am actually working at school because I have a college that I paint, but most of the time I'm doing projects at home or stuff like that. Sometimes just hanging around the computer. And I have a Facebook group called Facebook Hangouts. Let me see if I can get a link up there. So if you guys want to join, feel free. I usually, I filter everybody. So it's one of those, not exactly private. It's a public, well, no, it is a private site, I guess. Okay, the point is, on this particular page, if anybody likes this kind of stuff, I tend to post every now and then a hangout link, just to hang out. I mean, I'm doing whatever I'm doing, like this, for instance, or I'm on the computer just researching or watching a YouTube. Well, not watching it, but just doing research or whatever. And every now and then, today I had a nice 4 or 5 hour conversation at least with a buddy of mine, Bob Lee, and who was named, while he was not named specifically after Robert E. Lee, his name is Robert Edward Lee, which I find, really fascinating. But different people get on there on the Hangout link, and they they hang out. It's that simple. There's nothing to it. It's a video chat kind of thing, and So, I mean, it's a Facebook page, and you guys are more than welcome to join. And I'll post it up there in a second, and you'll see a link. Sometimes it's 9 in the morning, sometimes it's 1 in the afternoon, sometimes it's 3 or 4. And you guys are all welcome to post your Hangout link if you guys feel like chatting. It's basically, think of it like a bar that's always open, but it doesn't always have somebody in there. And and in real life, in a bar, if imagine a light turned on outside the bar whenever somebody was inside. Well, that's kind of what this is. Um, I've been doing it for quite a while, and I've met a lot of people face to face, and done quite a few chats. Let me see if I can get those that page up to. Was he in the Navy? That's a good question. He's 65 years old now, exactly. So that'll rule him out if it's not the same guy. Was he in the Navy? I got to ask Bob that question, because I've had so many conversations with so many people. Sometimes you just, everything's a blur. And at our age, or at least at my age, I enjoy the conversation, but I got to be honest with you. It's not like when I was 18 where I could remember everything. I remember facts. I do not remember stories or conversations. I mean, many I do, but hardly all of them. All right, so let me see here. Hangouts forum it's actually called facebook.com/group/maker hangouts. And this is the, it's 65. He is 65 years old. This is the Facebook group, and feel free to join, guys. And like I said, I get on there, and I'll every now and then, at random times, every now and then, I'll just open a Hangout link, post it on that page, and anybody's welcome to join. And if you have a video, video camera capability, whatever. If you've ever used Google Hangouts, it's a simple thing. You click on it, and it opens up Google Hangouts on your computer, and you're good to go. And you're up and chatting. And once you've done it once, then the next time it's just a simple click. So anyway, but yeah, I chat quite a bit with the maker community. It's basically like hanging out with people, but with with anyone. It's hanging out is exactly what it is. And well, I guess that's why they call it Hangouts. That kind of would stand to reason. And you're very welcome, Arturo. You're very welcome. I'm happy to. Arturo maybe is had a few questions for me there, and I'm always happy to answer any questions that you guys have, technical or otherwise. And I mean, if I can, if it's within my grasp of knowledge. Okay, so this is going to be annoying. Where's my new ones? I just bought new ones. Here we go. There we go. Alrighty. Sorry, I stopped talking. I just every now and then got to do the old concentrate game. Okay, there we go. So you're very, very welcome. And let's see. If he was in the Navy, asked him he served on the Charles H. Rowan. Okay, we'll do. Actually, I'll ask him right now. Let me see here. Let me. It's messages is a beautiful thing. Let's see. Here we go. And Mr. Bob Lee, were you ever in the Navy? Capital N. And if so, did you ever serve on the Charles? Oops, hang on a second. Helps if I spell it correctly. The Charles H. Rowan. M-H, yeah. H. Rowan. DD853. H. Rowan. DD853. That'd be interesting. That's funny. Okay, so we have ourselves this one. We need this one now. And yeah, it's the only thing about working with these tiny little parts. It gets sometimes it's a little tough to solder. That would be so funny. I mean, you talk about a small world if that's the case, Mike. That would be so funny. Well, let me ask you this. Did you ever serve with a... No, he's too old. He would... Well, a John Hall, just out of curiosity, had a WD-4 SFG. Just curious to see if you knew him. I mean, however, I doubt it, but you never know. You always got to ask. All right, so this is our wonderful little... Let me put it this way. It might be better. Yeah. All right. Now, where did I put my... You know what? I'll seal these up after. I'm going to just continue, and I'd rather have them all set up, and then I'll seal them later. Okay, one down. Three to go. Doesn't sound familiar. Yeah, that's a buddy of mine. Hey, Glenn, how are you? Good to see you, Glenn. Good to see you. Let's see. Yeah, I tell this story every now and then, and I'll say it again for you guys. I have a buddy of mine, John Hall. I mean, he's passed away, and he was... I'd say he should have been 65 or 70 now. I mean, he was only 10 years older than me, roughly 10 to 15. And excuse me for a second. So this buddy of mine, he was this is before YouTube and before, I mean, well, obviously before YouTube. I mean, it's, quite a while back, but this is before video chatting or anything like that. And my buddy, my friend John, I met him. We have a thing called a ham fest. I'm sure Mike will probably familiar with the term, but we have our hamboree, ham radio, hamcation, and what they go by different names in different cities. But basically, I like to think of it as a flea market for electronics, but it's where a bunch of amateur radio people get together, and it's a swap shop. I've told a lot of stories in the past of, I was swap shop chairman for a while, and anyway, so what happens? About, I would say 30 years ago. No, let me see. I was 26. So 35 years ago. 16. It was 35 years ago or so. A buddy of mine, John, started, we were into electronics always, and he turned me on to the swap shop, to this thing. And it was quite interesting. It was quite, and I didn't think anything of it, but I always saw this one guy there, which I thought was really kind of strange looking. I thought, because this guy was, my friend John used to kid about, he said SFG stood for short fat guy, because he was. Well, he was taller than me, so he wasn't. Short. It's all relative, but point is, I saw this guy, and he had a very unique face. And I say this in an extremely loving and hopefully endearing way. He was he had, it was like the face of a Cabbage Patch Kid. So, it's kind of flattish and pudgy, that kind of thing, but again, very loving, very endearing. Well, I just found it funny because I had been to 2 or 3 of the swap shops, and I never got to know him, but I saw him because he was one of the bigwigs in the ham fest and stuff. And then so few more years pass, and I become a member, and I am a member of well, I was a member of St. Brendan's Church, and in Miami, and I was very active. I mean, I basically went to school, Catholic school, and it was between altar serving and choir and just about, well, you name it. There wasn't an activity that I wasn't into whatever at that church. So our paths crossed more than once. He was a member of that church. I got to know him real well. And good evening, Mario. How's it going? And then, so what happens now? He's part of the choir. I joined the choir, and that's where we really got to know each other real well. He and I shared a lot of different interests, particularly his incredible love for years of ham radio and my love of computers. So whenever he had a computer question, he would ask me about it, and and whenever I had a ham radio question or just about everything related to hams, he would answer my questions as well. Well, so long story short, we became very good friends, and over the years, there were many other things we had together. One of the loves we developed over the years is the love of woodworking. And let's see here. Sorry, folks, I'm just trying to think and chew gum at the same time. Let me Okay, I will need I need to strip this part. Okay, so John was an extremely loving, extremely giving man. When we had every time we had our get-togethers, we used to camp once or twice or three or more a year. The whole choir group, and he was always, he would cook, he would buy food, he would, and he'd always have a bunch of get-togethers at his house. Extremely loving man, extremely giving man, and what's more, we shared so many. He and I shared so many interests together. Uh, Ham radio, computers, singing, yeah, our religion, our cultural beliefs, woodworking, and many many more. Uh, the thing that a lot of us here have is that incredible intelligence and adaptability for things, the mechanical ability, that kind of stuff. So not only was it electronic, but it extended to mechanical ability. And let's see how we can figure out to make this go this and this and that. Problem solving skills, things like that. So over time, I mean, I'll fast forward to 2003. I had a sign shop, which I've had for years, and it was fairly close to his house. So he would come visit me at the sign shop, and we'd be goofing around. In fact, the first CNC I got, and I got it for only 3 days, I would say, because it was the worst CNC on the planet. If anybody's ever had a Carve Right or a CompuCarve, it's the same thing. One is branded by Sears, and the other one is it's the original. So it is a little tiny thing. All you could basically make are fancy rosettes. I mean, it's that bad. I expected a lot more from that piece of machinery for $3,000. So luckily, returned it immediately. And where am I? Here we go. But I digress. We had a lot of fun times together. And he passed away. Heart attack. It happens, and I miss him greatly. And it's so funny because when I think about him and things like that, he would have loved all of this. He would have loved the camaraderie with all these groups, the get-togethers. So going back to the link I put up, and I'll put it up again just for you guys. Hang on a second. Let me see if it's still on here. Yeah, here we go. So this is a Facebook page I made about 4 or 5 years ago, and not that many members. I really don't push it, and but I get on there every now and then. Well, practically every day, but okay, maximum every day, minimum 2 times a week at the least. I'll get on there at a random time or another. I'll post a Hangout link, and people just pop in. Woodworkers. This is for woodworkers. It's not just. I mean, we could chat about anything. There's no rules as far as saying what we can chat about, but basically, I originally intended it for woodworkers or makers, if you will. So what happens? I got into YouTube. I got into woodworking. Well, no, I got into woodworking. I've been in woodworking, but I got into YouTube, and I met a bunch of woodworking fellow enthusiasts, and one thing led to another, and I got into CNC, and mostly CNC. I still dabble in all sorts of woodworking, but mostly CNC. And ever since, and I'll be honest with you guys, the disclaimer, ever since I started building or ever since I bought the property about a year ago, I have been on a woodworking sabbatical. I'll still share the love for it, talk about it and everything, but personally, I have not. I have done very, very few things compared to before. And of course, that will change when I get back to once the shop is built and I move, things are going to change. My thoughts will not be 24/7 on building the shop. They'll be on working in the shop. But I digress. So 3 years ago, I set up this woodworking group, and it became something surprising to me because I would meet people uh, of all sorts, and I was so surprised because most, if not all of them, share similar traits, similar backgrounds, similar love for woodworking and making and things like that. And I came from I live in Miami, 2.8 million people. You think find somebody, but the thing is, there's so many people. And my friends, we're friends because we all enjoy certain things together. Um, I got a bunch of friends that enjoy Star Trek. I got a bunch of friends that were in the young adults group together. I got a bunch of friends that are fellow parents of kids of our kids that are in uh, school. I've got friends that are through my wife's friends. I've got friends, so there's a bunch of different groups of friends. Friends from high school, friends from grade school, friends from work, and all of this. But never have I had a group of, well, I can call them friends, even though they're long distance and and stuff. You're all friends, and with the same interest and love and passion for well, woodworking or woodworking, yeah, basically CNC in this case. But there's many of you I know that it's not just CNC, it's a little more than CNC, and so what I'm getting at is, when I got into this community, I was pleasantly surprised because before, John, may you rest in peace, was one of my closest friends, and he was the only one who ever shared these types of interests. And now I met a whole gaggle of people who share the same interests. And like in Mike's case, every now and then I run into a ham. That's a beautiful thing. But it's like, imagine if I instead of a woodworking group, I'd go to a ham, and there are many out there. I'd go to a ham radio group, which, well, if ham radio was my first passion, I'd probably be there. But okay, let me make sure that this is working properly by doing the clicky. Should have done this before, but oh well, that'll work. Here we go. One here. And you know what I need? I need the, I know what I need. I need, no, Bob Lee. I just received a message, Mike. Bob Lee did not go in the Surface, and he has not served on that one. Sorry. Okay, so I'll just click it here. Okay, so this is, make sure I hear my famous click, click, click. Turn on the 24 volts. Yep. Click, click, click. Relay working perfectly fine, and done. After I seal it up, I test it again. But for now, there are two. Okay, so there's one. I'll put it over here. Where's the other one that I had? It's right over here. So, well, there's my story. John is, well, it goes a little further than that. Oh, no worries, Mike. It goes, now the story gets a little bit more interesting because John had a 10 by 20 shed or something like that, 12 by 20, something like that, shed that, we used to go there. And this guy was, I love him to death, but like me, in many ways, he is an extreme pack rat. See, my issue is that I don't have enough space, and I keep. I'm fairly organized. Well, I'll clean up for the next show, I promise. But I'm fairly organized normally when I have time, and I am short of space for all my tools for what many of us are. So, I once thought I was a hoarder, and then for those of you that see my Make Room for Javi videos, Javi.com, and just scroll down and you'll see the Make Room for Javi link. And for those of you that have seen those videos, I basically 3 or 4 years ago, I started clearing out all my mess because I wanted to have room for my tools. And then after throwing away, well, literally 10 by 20, 200 by 10, literally 2,000 cubic feet of stuff I had thrown away. I still did not have enough room to work. And that's when I decided to buy the property the timing's right. So, let's see, where am I? Gotta get another one of these little lengths of cable, about this big. Okay, and so here we go. Let me grab my other cable. All right, so sorry guys, place is a mess, really. And my friend John was very, very accumulative. I will put it that way. And he had lots of great tools and stuff. Well, after he passed away, he didn't have any kids, and his wife passed away within probably 3 months of his passing. Both of them passed away rather abruptly. It was hard, and 2 years later, I get a call from his family because I wrote a nice little thing on my personal Facebook page, decades ago, and it basically said something to the fact that it was a Dear John letter, and I thought it was a little ingenious of me, but it was. Most people write a Dear John letter when they're leaving somebody, and I wrote a Dear John letter for someone who left, and the fact that his name was John, well, made it that much more poignant. I can't even say the word. Anyway, so I didn't think anything of it. His family read the letter. They thought, I think I posted the letter on his site. His family read the letter. I mean, this site had been already down for 2 years and stuff, so I didn't think anybody'd read it. And now I knew his family, most of his family. In fact, his nephew is a very, very famous. He worked on the Dolphins. He's a very famous orthopedic surgeon, and he worked on my shoulder as well, which I'm very thankful for because I won't go into details, but I was carrying a lot of heavy equipment at one time for the choir, including amps and stuff, and had a bone spur. So Luckily, I don't anymore. It's a beautiful thing. But I knew the family. They called me up and said, and the niece called me up. The niece was now living in, and I'm sorry if I'm out of frame, guys. I'm trying to again walk and chew gum at the same time here. So the niece called me up and told me, Javi, listen, uh, I got the house. I'm living in John's house. The the place hasn't been touched. The shed, and to my surprise, because oh my god, I'm thinking to myself, my God, you're kidding. They the that thing was not only a mess, but it was stuffed with and for 2 years it had been untouched. So much so, and I never told this to the family, but there were rats living in there and all this. Well, I told her, and now I'm a painter, but at that point I was, you know, still working as a painter. I mean, myself. I wasn't just. If not, I would have just sent a couple guys and stuff. But so she said, "Listen, you're welcome to anything in there, uh, if you want, and or all of it. Take it out. I want to clean it out because I want to make it a craft shop." Well, I love John dearly and I love his family, so I figured, well, let me do her a little favor. I go, you cover the cost of the materials, and I will be happy to um I'll be happy to take everything off your hands. But what's more is you want that to be a shop. You know, I've been in construction all my life. I'll be happy to make it look nice. That's all I pretty much said. And I'll seal it up for you inside. And so she bought some drywall, and I took care of a lot of the other stuff, but ran some electric, put plugs everywhere. I drywalled the whole place, floors and ceilings. It's a 10 by 20 with a 7 foot ceiling. I put insulation, the ceiling, the works, knocked down everywhere, and I painted the whole thing. And then later in the end, she and her husband uh, did some put in some vinyl tiles, and let me tell you, that place looked beautiful, beautiful. And that's her craft place because she wants to be a craft place. And in the end, I'm I'm very very happy because I guess you can call it inherited John's tools. Now, granted, most of them were, they're old and they're functional, but they're not, Um, I mean, we're talking Harbor Freight. We're not talking uh, um, Festool or anything like that. But even so, I pretty much uh, gained a lot of things like a small bandsaw that I never had a bandsaw. I mean, I didn't have a bandsaw, and some other things, a good table saw because my table saw was a portable. So there were some things that I'm very happy, and it felt kind of like having a legacy. I mean, it feels like how can I describe it? I'm gonna make John proud by using this equipment as best I can. That kind of thing, it feels fantastic to you know. It's an honor, is what it is. And she's overjoyed. She got her new shop out of it. So recently cleaned out my shop and hauled out. Let me see here. Shop and hauled off an entire pickup load of cut off scraps I've been hoarding for years so I can Yeah. Yep. You can definitely relate. It's I gotta tell you, it's on the one hand, it's kind of not easy to um you could say, it's not easy to sorry, I'm soldering here and out of frame as always, but I want to just get this right so I don't have to do it twice. Yeah, on the one hand, uh, you feel bad because you're getting rid of a lot of stuff, but and this happens to people that are. I don't know if it's well, from what I've been told, either your parents, and I don't see you, I say everybody, everybody in general's parents, the type of person that hoards or has a lot of stuff is usually because their parents um, had very little growing up. In my case, my parents in Cuba as kids, my grandparents both were filthy rich. They were millionaires both. One was a multimillionaire, my mom's dad, and so both my father and mother grew up. My father upper middle class, maybe even a little more, and my mom upper crust. So at 15 years old, they were basically, you know, shipped out of the country because the parents were wise enough to see what they were doing. They see people getting imprisoned, et cetera, et cetera. So, true political oppression, and so they ended up with nothing, the clothes on their back, as you often hear in many cases. Well, my dad got a job for National Cash Register in Spain, of all places, and and they and I was born there. 2 months later, my dad goes, "This is not a life. I can never make anything of myself here. So I am going to go to, the States." My grandfather was already here. My parents were already married. So then what happens? They both move over. They move to Miami. Uh, joined my father moved to Miami and joined my grandfather. Both my parents moved, and well, bottom line is we moved here, and they had nothing. They had everything, then they had nothing. And so when you're a teenager and all of a sudden everything gets taken away from you, I would expect and then you join a country that you're extremely grateful that you can make anything of yourself. I mean, it's truly the American dream that what they made, you know, bought a house, became a tradesman, a contractor, general contractor. He's going on 55 years. He's still alive and he's still chucking, building houses. Well, um, the American dream lives, and but when you have that type of a background, uh, you tend to want to make sure that your kids grow up with everything. I don't know if that's such a good thing, but I learned from my parents. From my mom, I learned, you want something? If you can afford it, buy it, which is not necessarily always a good lesson. But, my dad, I learned, make sure, or, return on investment, make sure everything's, uh, you know, make sure you get your value for what you pay for, you know, and don't waste anything. And that rings through to my entire life. Don't waste anything. eventually translated to don't throw anything away because it's valuable, and a lot of us, okay, look, okay, where's my other, here's my other pair of pliers. Here's perfect example. Okay. This pair of pliers. Okay. And I'm going to do it right now. I'm actually going to throw this away. This is something it's sacrilege to throw away. Look, it's a perfectly good pair of needle nose pliers. Okay. Now look at that. It's all this is basically all cracked off, right? And your first instinct of somebody like my dad would say, "Oh no, don't worry about that. We can put tape around that. We can fix that. We can repair it with this or that. And I'm thinking, well, and I was thinking to myself, oh well, I could rip off the thing and dip it in the plastic dip numerous times, and it's just good. Well, good as new, practically. Okay, so now I ended up buying a new one because I needed it for $4 on Amazon. This garbage. Because frankly, I end up keeping it, and then I thought, oh well, I'll fix it and then I'll have two. I'll fix it and then I'll have three. Look, I've got 17 routers. Half of them work. Half of them, I'm eventually going to change the brushes on them or fix them. And it gets to the point where if you multiply that times, okay, you got a whole bunch of routers. That's no big deal. An average house, you can have 17 routers, and you'll use, in my case, I'll use 5 or 6 of them because I can use, one will be for the router table, another 2 or 3 will be for the CNCs, another one will be a trim router for trimming, and I like to keep the bits on them. So yeah, it's a little luxurious, but they're probably 5 or 6 or so will be regularly used. Then you got another 2 or 3 for lending or for storage or whatever, which are good for backup. Okay, I can that's a stretch, but I can see that. So you're left with, 10 routers. Half of them don't work, all in a box, which you will never use. You're never going to get around to selling them. Hopefully you can give them away to somebody, but it hurts to give something away that's valuable. So you keep them. Well, if it was an average house, it's no big deal. One box that, they'll fill up 1, maybe 2 of those plastic bins. Or let's say one of those yellow and black bins. Yeah, it'll fill up one of those, and I can have all my routers in one plastic bin. If it was only that, it wouldn't even enter my mind to throw anything away because I got a bin full of routers somewhere, and that's fine. But now I have a bin full of routers. I have a bin full of PVC elbows and PVC pieces. I can't throw that away because it's useful. I have a bin full of copper tubing and copper connections because I worked a lot in the construction industry, and I'm going to be using that stuff. Even though I haven't used any of that stuff for about 5 years, I've been using SharkBite and Plex. I have a bin of electrical boxes. I have a bin of electrical. The list goes on and on and on. Suffice to say, guys, at this moment, at last count, I counted 437 bins. I actually own 437 actual black and yellow bins. And I'm talking black and yellow bins of all sorts. Okay, so some are in storage, some are being used, some are in the containers, some are here, some are in storage up north. My point is, when you have one extra of something, and then you have 5 extra of something, it's no big. If one extra is no big deal, 5 extra is no big deal. But if you multiply that times, I don't know, 40 or 50 different items. All of a sudden, you have. I didn't want to throw away my electronics. My I have a box filled with breadboards, resistors, capacitors, all sorts of electronics from back when I was studying electrical engineering in at the university. I mean I had lots of components. I didn't rely on the school. I bought all my own stuff, you know. And so it's all in one box, maybe two boxes filled with that, and that's tiny, tiny stuff. So it doesn't accumulate. It doesn't take much space. I threw it all in there. One example of many. I have not opened that box up in. Let's see. FIU. I finished in '96, so 25 years. That box has been just taking up space. Space is inventory. What happens? I'm and you've got the dreaded thing and the thought in the back of your mind. When I throw it away, I know I'm going to need it the next day. Well, sometimes it's time to take that chance, not just with one item, but the best thing you can do is throw them all away. So you'll only have that feeling once, and I say this, but I haven't thrown stuff away yet, but I have. I've thrown away a huge warehouse full, but that's one of those things that should have been thrown away and wasn't. And the older you get, the more minimalistic you get. And tools are one thing. You don't throw away a tool. You can't throw away tools because you use them. Yeah, unless you got 17 of one tool. But things like materials and parts, and that other example of the once again, I'll bring up the example of the. Let's see, where's my other? I know I have it. Here it is. I'll bring the example of the electronics box once again, or boxes. It would have been fantastic to have that electronics box for when I have all of this stuff. What did I do? I spent $5,000-$6,000 in everything I needed to equip myself. So if you have it and you can't find it, or it's outdated, and try to think to the future. Don't think, am I going to miss this if it's gone? Or will I possibly ever use this? Think to yourself, will I positively use this in the future? If the answer is no, well, you know what you should do. That's my advice, and that's my do as I say, not as I do advice. For those of you who care to listen to it. But in the meantime, I am striving for. I don't want to say minimalist. I got a buddy of mine, Joe. He's a minimalist. He's got. I can't live that way. That's just crazy. I need to have. I mean, I understand he's happy that way, and more power to him. I can't live a life with only a 30-piece set of tools, a mechanic's tool set, in the garage of my house, and that's the tools I need for the entire house. That's just, I understand many people live that way. Many millions of people live that way. But, not for me. Same thing happens with, I had a friend, and I mentioned this guy before. I had he's not a friend. He's a fellow worker of my wife when she was at this other location. This man I always thought he was the best dressed administrator in that school. I was doing computer work, and this guy was I'm pretty sure he was academic dean for a while at the time when I was there. Well, anyways, regardless of what he was, he was the best dressed man. And I asked him. I go, listen, what what gives? Do I never? I always see you very well dressed in a silk shirt, brand new jacket. I mean, brand new suit, and I don't remember ever seeing you wear the same shirt twice. And he actually told me, I don't. I've never worn the same shirt twice. And I go, what? That's ridiculous. That's like a huge expense. And I'll never forget what he told me. He said, look, I work for a living. I worked and I work and I have a decent job and I make a decent wage. I'm by myself. I don't have anybody to spend it on. I like to treat myself. Some people enjoy cars. Some people enjoy tools. Some people enjoy video games. And that's what they will spend their money on. I like to look to I like to feel I like to I like clothes. Particularly I like to feel well dressed. That is his vice, if you want to call it a vice. His passion, if you want to call it a passion. But that is the way that he is. And as such, he one left, guys, one left. As such, he always dressed impeccable. I mean, I dare say impeccable. The man was always extremely well dressed and well groomed, and you know, uh, never had a doubt that he'd be well dressed anytime. And he, again, it's kind of weird from my point of view, but that's what he liked. That is what he's into. Um, I can't fault somebody for spending well hard-earned money that they made on what they like. Cannot fault them because that'd be like faulting yourself for wanting to buy your particular items or vices or whatnot. But let's see here. Yeah, these things are great, but they're a little frustrating because sometimes they don't. The copper twists perfectly fine, but these aluminum cables don't always do that. Okay, there we go. Now let's see if I can get these two tiny little cables stripped. That's one. Okay, let's strip it the old-fashioned way, folks. Before I have to strip it the really old-fashioned way and grab a knife. But All right. So in 2 weeks' time, not next week, but the following week, I expect to have Jamie Page on Javi Unboxed. Now, Jamie is he's a turner. He's a scroll sawyer, but mostly a turner. He's from England, and I gotta tell you, unless he's watching this, which I sincerely doubt, because he's on different time zone. I am going to thank him on the show profusely because there's and Russ reminded me of this recently. He goes, one guy that doesn't get enough credit is Jamie Page, and he's absolutely right. Jamie doesn't get enough credit. Jamie, I'll tell you what type of person Jamie Page is. He's a person that gives of himself to promote others. When I first started out in the YouTube community, he would constantly be going out, so much like Dave does in general. When Dave and Mark and other friends of mine, but Jamie goes out of his way with no, thought to his valuable time, as I would put it. And he shouldn't have made this short. Oh well. I forgot this. Yeah, let me do that again. No, well, let me just leave it like that. I'm good. So, Jamie gave of himself. He goes to different groups and he goes, "Hey, you got to see this guy, and you got to do this, and you got to go over here." And he becomes a. When you have somebody like that in the community, and I know a few people like that, and I've been one myself sometimes. You become the go-to person, number one. You become a very, very trusted voice. When you say, "Oh yeah, I know just the guy for you. You got to see this guy. I know just the guy. You got to see this guy." You're the guy that people go to. It's a great position to be in. And when okay, here we go. Let's see. This goes to sure enough, I got to do it over. I completely messed that one up. All right. So actually, I think I can do it this way. Yeah, let's do that. That'll give me enough a play. All right, so yeah. Continue with this to this, and this goes to red and black. Okay. Yeah, so I mean, he's a very, very special person. Jamie is. And I'd like to thank him for his giving soul, if you will. Okay, so oh, excuse me. I am so exhausted. Now let's a few of these things. So what did you guys have for dinner today? Any interesting meals out there? I made a chicken marsala. And I got to tell you, I'm getting quite sleepy. I don't know if it's from the chicken or from the incredible amounts of butter that I used for the marsala. But it was an interesting and quite filling uh, meal tonight. Oh boy. Chicken gyros. Nice. Nice. Yeah. Yeah, there's everything always brings up a story with me. So, chicken gyros. There is for those of you who've been following along with me know that I had a couple of spots at Santa's Enchanted Forest, a theme park down here in Miami. And so there's this guy, Caesar, um, and it's funny. I don't know, from some South American country. I'm pretty sure. I know he's not Cuban. I know he's not Puerto Rican. He's got to be from, I don't know, Argentina or one of these countries. For all I know, he may be Greek, but he had and I say that because he had a shop uh, that sold gyros. But rather than calling them gyros, the way he pronounced it is Hito. Hito. So, and all his, well, those guys were Cuban. The guys that worked for him and stuff, they all pronounce it the same way, the Latin version, which is Hito, 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 Hito. And, it's like, it sounds like somebody saying some Japanese person's name, Hito. But no, they were just, it was just the funniest thing. So that comment reminded me of them because good guy, great gyros. He had his place had all sorts of Greek writing. I mean, Greek letters all over it. Because obviously Greek gyros, but most of the community pronounces it Hito, because most of the community, and particularly the huge community that is the audience or the crowd of Santa's Enchanted Forest, they basically they pronounce it Hito. They're Latin to an extreme. I mean, South America. It's Miami, so we're 67% Hispanic. I think 50 something of that is Cuban, but the rest is, I mean, Nicaraguan, Argentinian. I mean, everything, everything. It's a hodgepodge of craziness. It's so funny because speaking of Latins and also of uh, theme parks. For a while, I was part of this theme park in Phoenix, or rather, I didn't have any spot in it. I just um, one of my buddies he had a couple spots, and I was the one that was his technical guy, and I gave him a hand basically. He flew me down to Phoenix. We both flew down to Phoenix, and what was extremely surprising to me, see, here in Miami, it's a completely different mindset. A completely different mindset as far as speaking English or Spanish. There are so many Cubans down here that, I mean, Spanish is spoken in the streets far more than English is in the city of Miami. Well, yes and no. Depends how old you are. But now, when it comes to, you know, somebody addressing somebody else, if you go to just about any shop in Miami and you speak Spanish, forget it. You'll get a response. If you go to any spot and you speak English, there's a 50-50 chance or that they won't be either speak an extremely broken English or call a translator. Now, in Phoenix, it was quite an interesting experience. See, we're used to, I mean, Latins, or rather Hispanics, are used to if somebody in a shop speaks Spanish, 9 times out of 10, it's best to address them in Spanish. I mean, I'm personally English is my first language, and well, okay, that's a touchy subject with me because I grew up with my parents in Spain 2 months, moved over here. I was 2 or 3 months old. I grew up with my grandparents who spoke Spanish, my parents who spoke both, and a babysitter for the first 3 years of my life, and I spoke nothing but Spanish. Thank God for Sesame Street. Soon as 5 years rolled around and I was in kindergarten, that's it. Everything changed from one year to the next. Same thing happens for my kids. My kids, my parents and my wife's parents speak Spanish to them all the time, and we did as well because we didn't want them to lose. We spoke both languages. My wife and I. We didn't want them to lose the Spanish. Luckily, they speak Spanish fluently more than enough to get along. But like me when I was growing up, soon as kindergarten rolled around and everybody speaking English, and as soon as I started watching Sesame Street and American television, which was from day one, I got I lost any trace of or very little trace of a Spanish or Cuban accent that I had, and I all went full American. Now, and the point I was getting at, I was talking about Miami and the groups. Yeah. Oh, yeah, Phoenix. I grew up in a city that when you see a shop owner and they speak Spanish, you address them in Spanish because they're older. They speak Spanish better than they speak English. They're all immigrants, and also there's a certain bias. There is an obvious bias. Well, same thing. If you're black and you have a black shop owner, you're going to be treated comfortably, as opposed to if you're a white man that comes in a black business, or vice versa. I mean, we all want to believe that there's no racism, and to a certain degree, it depends. It's a level of degrees. But whether it's Latin, whether it's black, whether it's Asian, people of like cultures not only tend to bond, but they more comfortable with each other when they talk. That's just, I'm sorry, but it's human nature for the most part. Yep. And Mario learned with, see, I can say Mario or I can say Mario. It's all the same to me. But when I was growing up, he learned with Sesame Street. That's it. That's as did I. When I was growing up, and my parents would go to a place, naturally they'd speak Spanish to as very few places they'd speak English. Well, no, obviously, if many places at that time when I was growing up in the 70s, there were tons of Anglo speaking places. And then all of a sudden, it all changed in the Mario boat lift with the flood. The floodgates were open, and then 10, 20 years later, all these Cubans, half of these Cubans are business owners, and the rest are all just thrown into the community. So it's all Spanish speaking, or mostly. Again, I would naturally speak Spanish. They would respond in kind, and it's a familiarity. Well, I go over to Phoenix with my buddy Carlos. Yes, Carlos, a Spanish speaking person, and English. He like me. He's 5 years older, and he was grown up the same way I did. Um, Miami, English, cars with Cuban parents. Well, anyway, we get over there, and we went to a taco place or something, and we knew they definitely there were Mexicans. It was a Mexican owned taco place. So there was a Mexican family that worked there. It was a family owned and operated. We found all this out later, but we got the hint when, oh, are you the owner? Ah, yeah, yeah. And we're speaking to them in Spanish. They're answering back in English. But it wasn't as if they felt more comfortable with English because they had heavy accents and everything. It was the strangest feeling, and it's not just this one proprietor, it was the whole entire city of Phoenix. It felt like these people are afraid for their lives if they don't speak English. I mean, hey, don't get me wrong. I'm all for the entire country speaking only or mostly English, but that was just scary. That was absolutely scary. So that's one difference between here and up and out west, I think. At least that's what I found. Okay, where am I? This. How many times am I going to mess this up? Let me see what I'm doing here. Okay, so this does not go there. This goes there. Why do I keep doing that? Okay, clip it again. This is going to be one of those days. In Tijuana at the time, we only had one channel in Spanish, the rest in English. Yeah, that's funny. That is a trip. Yeah, I remember. Well, growing up here, it was what? Let's see. There was 2, 4, 6, 7, 10. 45 was kids' cartoons. When I was 10 years old, let's see. I'm thinking back to 70, 75. 2, 4, 6, 7, 10. There were 5 channels on TV. I mean, we're talking Miami. It's a cosmopolitan, so it's let's see, 5 channels plus it was channel 5 and 12 if you can get a big enough antenna. In back days we could, thanks to Radio Shack. We get channels 5 and 12 from this place, West Palm. 33 wasn't around. 39 wasn't around. 51 was 51 and 23 were the 2 Spanish stations. It was Telemundo and I forgot the other one, but it wasn't Telemundo back then. And for those of you that speak Spanish, every now and then from my grandparents' room, I would hear WLTV desde Miami, Florida. And that was, I heard that a lot. And we had WQBA, which was a Spanish speaking. I'm not making this mistake again. This goes here. Okay, so it was a Spanish, it was, they called it La Cubanísima, which is the Cubanist station that there is. And what would happen is there's a lot of political refugees that came here. They formed and created that station and tried to broadcast it for years. Broadcast so powerful the stations the station that it reached Cuba, and Cuba had to block the signals because, well, or speak out against it. But we're free to say what we want. This is America, and a lot of Cubans did on that station. I mean, I hear the stories. I wasn't part of any of that, but there are lots of stories. And then I remember listening, as a kid. I don't know if, yeah, I guess this is pretty normal when you're a little. I'm talking 4 years old, 5 years old. Um, you want to stay up late, or you hang out with your grandparents, and then, well, basically I slept. In Occasionally, I would be allowed to sleep in my grandparents' bedroom. My grandparents lived with us, my mom's parents, and I'd be there. I'd be hanging out, my brother and I, and then we just every now and then my brother and I might fight or something, and one of us would go to the other room, and one of us would stay in our own room. And well, anyway, long story short, as my grandparents were going to sleep, they'd be listening to the Cuban station, the Spanish radio station, and I still to this day remember um, commercials like Espejuelos Optica Lopez, which is basically glasses, Lopez Optical, and but it was such a that particular, and that one was a particular favorite of mine, because this was, again, this we're talking 1969, 1970. The station was I don't know if I don't know if there's a translation for this in English. I'm going to call it radio clock. It was it was a it was a Cuban station which would give a bunch of news, which I'll be honest with you, I don't remember a single word from any of that. If I even listened to it, because I'm 4 or 5 years old, I'm certainly not going to listen to all that garbage. There were no cartoons on the radio. So, but um, but one thing I did hear every 3 or 4 minutes, or 5 minutes, or 10 minutes, or, well, now I know, as a ham radio operator, you got to announce every so and so, you have to at 10 minutes or so, you gotta give your call sign and stuff, and that's exactly what would happen. Is you'd hear, this is sponsored by Lopez Optical. The time is at the tone. The time will be 4:57 p.m. Beep, and it was the coolest thing in the world for me. Yeah, it's amazing, these things. I mean, I'm out right now. I haven't thought about that in ages, so it's that's pretty neat thinking about that now. It's takes me back to my youth. But you know, Miami back then was not just a cultural mecca, if you want to use the word mecca, but it was a cultural. It was wonderful. It was. That was growing up. It was patriotic. It was all American, and it was, you hear stories of immigrants making a good life for themselves, and you hear all those stories about New York, and immigrants coming in and stuff, and well, then you'll hear and think about your own ancestors, when your own Irish or English or whoever came over, how it must have been. Well, that's pretty much how it was in the in the 60s for us. And it was a great time. It was an absolutely great time for, well, to be a kid. And then and Miami was new. It was, well, it wasn't that new, but I mean, well, it was fairly new. I guess it was a fairly new city. It's still growing. The timeline, the what's this called? The uh, not landscape. Oh my God, my mind is going. The skyline was not anything compared to how it looks today. Nothing. I mean, it was. Oh, you talk about Miami skyline. It was incredible. It was so simple, and now it's just ridiculous. And the thing is, and this is what I kind of, you know, I know progress, and we all have to grow and all this, but give me the Miami of back then. I'm sorry, I'm one of those people that it was a whole different world, and it was a whole. I mean, how can I put it other than it's too crowded? It's not American right now. Well, not what I would consider American. It's it's a different time. A lot of people will argue. A lot of people, oh, what are you crazy? Miami's a beautiful, blah 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 blah. Okay, fine. You keep it. I've lived here 54 years. I'm moving. It's not the same as it was. And I got to be honest with you. I don't know how many of you grew up in a neighborhood in a city or not so much a country, but and you grew up in one place. The neighborhood changes, it becomes more crowded, and then at least for us, okay, here's a perfect example. I grew up in an area of Miami called Westchester. When I moved there in 1968, I was 2 years old, or three. When I moved there in 1967, 2 years old. When I moved there, it was predominantly Jewish. There were two Hispanics in the whole thing, and that doesn't mean anything, except the whole area was the if you go 1 mile further west, there was nothing. Nothing. I'm talking nothing. There was You'd run into the Everglades, except it wasn't the Everglades. It was just undeveloped land. Well, um, fast forward to when I got married. Was 30 years later or so, and 1999, and now I'm looking for that youth. And I had to travel 13 miles out of the city southwest just to find something similar. And it still was more crowded than Westchester was originally, than that little municipality was originally. But I settled in a nice area here, and back when I started here, it was 50-mile-an-hour speed limit, 55-mile-an-hour speed limit just west of my house on the roads. Right now, they're all 35. It is all completely developed, and I mean, we're talking only 20 years have passed, and there is just traffic. Glenn, have a wonderful evening. Thanks for dropping in. Most appreciated as always. I'll be on the air tomorrow as always. And so, I mean, I got to tell you, I miss those days. I miss. I don't know. Maybe I'm getting older because obviously when I was younger, um, I loved having tons of friends, a big city, a nightlife, and yeah. But you live, you grow, and I know for a fact because my cousins who live in um, Central Florida, uh, some of my cousins up there, I've got 13 families of cousins up there and more, and many of those grew up in rural places in Central Florida, and oh my God, it was the complete opposite. They are thinking to themselves, their kids go, I got to get out of here. I got to move to the city. There's nothing here, nothing. And I get it. I get it. But then again, that's also pre-internet, you know. So everything's relative. Nowadays, I would imagine all the rural areas of the world are going to be far more populated than they were before. You want to talk population explosion. Nobody thinks about it, but I'll be the first to say that the internet is going to be a major cause of density and population explosion in rural areas, because frankly, I mean, think about it, guys. It's you don't need to. You can telecommute, especially now with COVID. People realize, there are some people who just are dying to go back to normal, but there are a lot of people who enjoy the privacy of their own homes, and pretty soon they're all going to be looking for, well, privacy and solitude, because big cities. I mean, I am within 100 feet of 4 different neighbors. Yeah, well, okay, maybe 150 feet easily. Well, 150 feet, I would say I'm in 150 feet of all 8 of my neighbors around me. The ones the 3 in front, the 3 in back, and the 2 on the sides. And that's, I mean, there are people who live in, you talk 150 feet, they're within God knows how many because they live in an apartment. That's 150 feet. That's thousands of neighbors because it's a few floors. But, well, my place up there, we're talking 150 feet, and I'm still on my property. So there's going to be a lot of people wanting stuff like that. So get while the going's good, I suppose. Thank God. Okay. I don't want to say thank God for COVID. I certainly don't. Oh, not having any neighbors. That's awesome. I don't want to say thank God for COVID. However, because of COVID, I found out that my house is worth currently, and it wasn't a year ago, well over $500,000. And that's just crazy when I think about it. Crazy, considering I paid 130. But just crazy. Well, it couldn't have come at a better time, I'll tell you that much, because after we finish building, well, you guys will be there if you guys are still around watching me. If YouTube is still around, if everything's still around, and if I'm still around, in a year or so, you guys will see the whole new place, the whole new shop. I mean, you guys have seen already the bits and pieces, and I've taken, videos of the lands of the. You guys have seen videos of me doing stuff out there on the land, homesteading and stuff. But pretty soon you'll be watching me build a steel building and a house, and God willing. And before long, 2 years from now, mark my words, 2 years from now, by 2 years from now, I will be not here anymore. I'll be. I mean, I don't mean not here on Earth. I mean not here on. Well, God willing, I'll still be here on Earth. Not here in this place. Helps if it's upside up. Not here in Miami. Oh, I am so looking forward to that time. I'll tell you guys, I'm so looking forward to that. I love to visit at this point. Well, maybe not. Well, yeah, I'd love to because my parents are still here, but yeah, it's so no neighbors, Mike. Where do you live? You said Wisconsin? No, that wasn't you. Everything's a blur. Where do you live, Mike? I always forget. Well, I never pay attention, and then if somebody tells me something, I won't remember. Let's see, it's about 9:36. Yeah, I guess it's time to call it a night in a little while. Turn this off. Let me turn this off. Tomorrow night, I'm going to finish up a few, and I should be able to ship on Wednesday all the Javi boxes that are left, God willing. Let me see. What do I got here? It's today's the 14th, and when did I say I was going to? Okay, build status. All right. Yeah, okay, so let's fix that. Updated. Let me see. Let me go to 9:16. There we go. Hmm. 14. Give me a sec, guys. I'll be right with you. I'm updating something here. 13. 15. Okay, so 15. Alrighty. Let's see. Close that. Ah, sweet. North Carolina, Rutherford County, south of Asheville. Ah, it's beautiful country. Beautiful country. I got a set of cousins that live in Franklin, and I love that. I love that little town. We visited there during the 4th of July. Oh, there's Russ. Okay, now tell me you haven't been waiting long because I didn't hear a beep.
I came and then
hang on. I don't hear your voice either.
I'm hooked up.
Nope.
Can't hear me. Well, I should be able to.
Nothing yet. Hang on. Let me. Try unmuting and muting. Anything?
Can you hear me now?
Nothing yet.
Well, hell.
You want to try to? Holy cow! Yeah, he'll come back on in any second now. Yeah, Franklin. I went there during 4th of July, and oh, you did hear him. Okay, hang on a second. I know what's wrong. All right, he'll come back. There we go. Okay, how long have you been waiting there?
Can you hear me?
Yeah.
Cool. I came, I waited. You didn't make a move, so I left again.
Yeah.
It's the third time I've come in.
Why don't you just type something on the thing?
Just in the middle of hooking up YouTube when you popped. Oh, there's Russ.
Yeah. Well, I figured out why I didn't hear you.
Well,
Well, what happened was I was talking to Bob earlier, Bob Lee,
yeah.
and I don't know what it is about his particular headset, but I was on the Hangouts talking to him, and it's just like piercing loud. So much so that I had to turn this down to one notch, out of I don't know, 15, whatever. And then this lands on the floor every now and then. That's why every now and then you'll hear me all of a sudden talking. It's because I step on the mute button. But sometimes, today was horrible. I was talking to him. I leaned and I stepped on the plus by accident. Oh. So it went full blast, and all of a sudden he says something. Ah! and then thanks to Mario, Mike, and Jason, they said I can hear him.
Yeah, it's all late. I've kept looking, poking, everything was right.
Yeah, I apologize for that, but and that's also why I didn't hear the beep. And I put these damn uncomfortable things on because I don't need these when I'm the only guy. I just leave them there, and the mic can catch my. But when I'm expecting you, which I'm always expecting you, I put them on, and.
Oh man, I sure hate that I made you wear them doggone things the whole show.
Oh well, yeah, and I wouldn't blame you for making me wear them. I'm pissed at myself for making myself wear them with the volume off.
Now that's a real killer.
Oh man, I guess I'll stay on a little while longer, guys. Since Russ is here, we'll have some interesting conversation. I'll just sit back.
Heck, folks, he was about to let y'all go. I'm sorry I did that to y'all.
Yeah. If you guys feel like going, feel free. I mean, that's not a problem. I'm just here for entertainment value. I got to remember to grab.
Glenn had to go, so he's gone.
Huh? Oh yeah. Glenn had to go. Oh yeah. Lately, I've been doing the 8 to 10 thing every night just to catch up on some more boxes and stuff. And let me shut my power down. So, it's just been...
Mike says, "Put a bell around my neck."
That'll work. That'll work. Oh man!
And he said he put it in caps too. By God, he must have really meant it.
Yep. Well, I got an update on the conversation we were having earlier, so I'll
okay.
Someone contacted me, so I'll let you know about that after. Oh man, I'm tired. It's just like, I got these things done at least, so I'm ahead on one thing. I've got 4 boxes that need to go out. Well, by the 21st. One needs to go out day after tomorrow. Not a problem. Another 3 need to go out by the 21st. Then I got a whole batch that I've got 2 or 3 weeks, but I've got a batch of 10 that I gotta.
All right, let me get rid of this dog. He's on my last nerve of that squeaker toy.
Oh, I like the squeaker toy.
What? It's a lie.
Oh no, I like the squeaker toy. It's funny every time I hear that toy.
Then. There you go. You're
fine
in for it.
I don't have a problem with the squeaker toy. Every time I hear it, I think it's the dog barking, and I go, "That's the funniest little dog."
His bark is almost like that. It's really high.
Yep.
Yeah, he's having a good time. I've been trying to get him to stop it.
Let him enjoy himself.
Dennis has a question for you.
Good. All right, here we go. Okay, my Z-axis is working now. I had problems with the motor grunting. Turns out it was an alignment issue. Okay. Yeah, I mean, that's good to hear. That's good to hear. I mean, well, it's good to hear it's not the hobby box. I mean, again, if it's running in both directions, but running rough, it's not likely to be a controller issue, but you never know. Sometimes it is. My recommendation is before you connect the lead screws on the Gatton or any other machine you have, before you connect the lead screws, slide it up and down and make sure it doesn't kink. Make sure it because that's excuse me, that'll mess you up. I've seen people in. Now here's the thing: the first time I ran mine across, because of the angle irons, if you build a Gatton, you know that you have to. If you've built a Gatton, you have to just basically hand tighten so they touch, and just a little bit of pressure, the V groove bearings to the aluminum. Run them back and forth, maybe 5-10 times. That's enough for them to bevel down a little bit, then tighten them hand tight a little more, and then another, and keep doing that until you can no longer hand tighten them, because there is a point where it will just build up and it'll stop right there. So
we're not gonna don't read Chad's comment. Family friendly.
Always, yeah. No. Chad's absolutely correct. I was thinking about you, Chad. I've got the Hangouts. I'm back on the Hangouts forum again, so I'll be broadcasting. I'll be daily. In fact, I think I still have the. Let me see if I still have this in the queue. Yeah, there it is. So, and well, most of you are members of it, but for those of you that haven't heard, and I believe everybody here has, it's going very well. I'm looking forward to. I've got the plans for the house are. I've gone to the truss stage, so I'm getting the truss plans done. I am getting 3 or 4 quotes for the steel building, so I expect by October or around thereabouts, I'll be heading over to the building department to pull the permit, and I expect to break ground as planned, as scheduled, as Jamie would say, by November or around November, and God willing. So in a year's time, I will be up there a lot more often, and then in 2 years' time, my wife will join me, or a year and a half, And but anyway, so back to the Hangouts link. For those of you, I have a Facebook page, which anybody's welcome to create their own Hangout and post it, a public Hangout, and post it, and I will be. Probably, again, could be anytime, could be 10 a.m., could be, it won't be earlier than 10, because usually I'm dealing with my paint crew at that time, if I'm awake. Some days I wake up at 6 and go to the paint crew. Some days I don't. Well, regardless, if I'm not out and about doing whatever I'm doing and I'm in here, I'll probably turn on the Hangout link, and I'll post a new link. And yep, the coffee shop. That's exactly. Actually, it's funny you say that, Chad, because that's exactly what it was called years ago. I still call it. It's the Hangout coffee shop. Well, the coffee shop. And that's kind of what it is. Like, it's like a bar or a coffee shop. You guys are welcome to go in and out whenever you feel like. And no comments now, Chad, about in and out, because I know where his brain's at. And there's Russ laughing his ass off. No, you're muted, Russ. So no comments from you when you're muted. Oh, hey, Chad, I'll send you a link if you want to join us here. Hang on a second. Where's my? I'll just send you one anyway, whether you like it or not. Hang on, let me see.
There you go, by God.
You're more than welcome to chew the fat, as it were. Let's see, Chad, Gross Claws, and I don't know if you're up, but here you go. Because I won't be getting a response for another. You're in the living room with the kids. In that case, now's the perfect time to make fun of you so they can laugh their butts off. Let's see.
Go ahead and do it, because I'm tired of being the only one that gets it.
Oh, no. Don't
my
worry.
wife comes around.
Don't worry. I've got plenty for you left, Russ. And as soon as your wife comes around and rags out on you, I'll just cheer her on and you know.
Yeah.
And again, I know, Russ, I know you're sad because I'm not going to be calling you a wimp for a while because hurricane season's almost over.
It didn't come my way, this one.
So, you know. And, you're on an earpiece. Well, regardless, I sent you a link, so if you want to join, you're welcome to it. But yeah, it's been good. So again, the Hangouts link, folks, for those of you who want to join the Facebook group. In fact, let me go to the Hangout forum and see if anybody's wanted to join because I haven't even looked. Because where members
I guess I better join that one.
You haven't joined that one?
Didn't know you had it. So you don't tell me anything.
I blocked a Hai Chow, a Mohammed Irfan, and a Sumon Mondal. I don't know where they're from.
Irfan, I've heard that name before. Yeah. But I can't remember where I heard it from. I don't know if it was good or bad.
Well, probably bad because
if
I blocked...
Yeah. That's the only one I heard. I don't know the others.
I'm trying to see if where would I see on this thing? Let me see. Manage notifications. Is that it? Nope, that's not it. Okay, nobody's been asking to join. That's fine. That's 21 requests. Here we go. Let's catch up and let's okay, where we go? There we go. Hang on. Where are you? Member requests. Okay. Here they are. There's Dave Krause. Yeah, approved. There's Peter Fabricus. He looks good. Approve. Sharon Lewis Clay. Yeah, approve her. Bart Davis. Yep. Eddie Arn. These are all normal. Tom Collins. That's a good, strong American name. I'll definitely approve that. Roy Perchik. Terry Mitchell. Wade Constantbatter.
That's not one I've never heard of it.
Oh, well, you constantly make a batter, so constant batter. I like it. Patrick Wilkerson's a good name. Richard Sexton. 239 other groups. Okay. Studied biology, math, computer science. Okay, I'll approve that. There's Jason Spigen. Let's see. Assad Ali.
I've not heard that one.
Requested a year ago. Who cares? He probably doesn't want to. And Mr. Dehaza. No, I don't like him. Not to do any racial profiling, but I peaky English over here. I know peaky panny or any other thing else. Let's see. Mona Irene Connigan. No clue. But sounds good. Jonathan Pears. See if I see woodwork. What I'm looking for is on their photos some woodworking stuff, which see now I see all one right. Cassandra Elvis, and she's like 16 years old and a hot chick. Yeah, I'm sorry, that's not a CNCer.
I just clicked to join.
All right. Is your name Rajesh Meena?
No, that is RM, but that's not me.
Okay. How about Youssef Imad Eddin?
No.
Yeah.
Keep looking. I should be the last one.
Yeah. Well, I gotta hang on. Let me do another. Let me refresh the member requests because.
Chris Neela, what are we approving?
Well, I have to approve everyone for the give me a second. There you are. Russ Meadows approve. Michael Blyer definitely approve. All right. So it's who's saying what are we approving? Oh,
Chris Neela.
Chris Nealon. Chris, I have if you scroll up in the comments, you should be able to see it. I have a link. I have a Facebook group that I've been running for about 3 years now, but I haven't been ever very active on it until recently. Now I'm definitely, unless it's Zima, totally in.
Yeah.
I've been active on it recently. As of late, I started a coffee shop 3 or 4 years ago, which is basically chat rooms, but visual chat rooms, and chat about anything you want. Just, like Russ and I do here during the week. Chew the fat. Saturday is my official show, and I have an official script and all that stuff. And it's, it's 1 hour. It's very regimented and strict or whatever. But these lives that I had them 3 times a week. Now I'm having them practically every day. And I had them for an hour. Then they became an hour and a half. Now they're like 2 hours. Some more. But I'll be thankful to every single one of you guys, because thanks to you guys and the last 6 months or the last 69 episodes of chatting and soldering with Javi, and I never thought people would sit by and watch me solder, yet I always get 10 to 15 people who will stay for the whole show. Of course, I rant a lot too, so I guess they enjoy that. Thanks to you guys, I have reached my 4,000 hours to be monetized. I should be getting a letter from YouTube this week, I expect, because my hours are already over that. So I'm very happy about that. And I was at 1.2 hours 6 months ago, 1.2K, 1,200 hours. And all of a sudden, I just blinked to that. And, it all became from these live shows. It's, I figure, well, I'm not doing anything else. I might as well. And so that's it, Chris. Basically, if you're the type of person who likes to join in on random conversations or woodworking chats, I will be doing what I'm doing here in the evenings, but sometimes I'll be here. Sometimes I'll be just on my computer doing stuff. Sometimes I'm just bored and looking for somebody to talk to. So I'll open a Hangout link. I'll post it on there and throw it to the wind. Very often, as what happened 2 years. Here's the story of what happened with the Hangout links and the reason why I haven't been very active on it recently. About 2-3 years ago, I started this, and Chad was one of the regulars. Oddly enough, talk about what comes around goes around. It's so funny that he rarely comes in here, and he's in here on the day that I'm talking about this. Chad was one of the regulars. It was Chad, and it was Mark Saunders, and a few others. And I used to be on it so often because I got time. I'm retired. And we'd just be chatting about the latest projects or stuff, or just hanging out with each other. Sometimes it would be silent, if you can believe that, because I'm on the show now, so I'm talking. But when we're in a chat room, I'll be in the background doing my stuff. Sometimes there'll be 2 other people talking. Sometimes no one will talk. I mean, Chad can back me up on this. We've been in chat rooms where nobody talks for half an hour, where there's 9 people in the chat room and they're all muted. Tell me I'm wrong, Russ. Tell me I'm wrong. 9 people in the chat room. Everybody's muted. Every now and then somebody goes, "Hey guys, what do you think about this?" Or and it's like it's join the chat room, join the Facebook group. And when you see an announcement come in that I'm on a Hangout group, click on it. It's that simple. And you just, go through whatever okays you have to on your computer. And you basically, as long as you have a webcam and a mic or use a phone, you're in a conversation. I'll be happy to chat with you guys. Well, anyway, so 3 years ago, I started this. It got very popular. I was there all the time. In order for it to become popular, at least one person, has to kind of man the place. And it got very popular. It got to the point where Mark and I were there almost 24/7, just hanging out. Sometimes our cameras would be on, and one of us would be sleeping. Mark would be sleeping on a couch, like from 2 to 5 a.m. And I'm here working on some project in the early morning hours. Then I'd go to sleep. I'd wake up at 9 a.m. I come out here and I still see Mark sleeping or working on a computer project and stuff. It's funny. Sometimes we go for hours. Sometimes it's just, 5 minutes or whatever. You just pop in, say hi and bye. Then later, Steve Nealon from MMN and Nealon's Wooden Treasures and Steve Nealon from Harneal Media. He and I became good friends by hanging out quite a bit. Later, Eloy joined us and David Jones, few names that you may or may not know. They've been out there, Portal Woodworks. And it got to the point where we were on there so often, we decided, and I say we, it was Eloy, myself, Steve, and Patrick, and 2 or 3 others decided to form a group, Makers Media Network, MMN. And we did that and all that. But again, whether it's a hangout or whether it's a group, it needs an anchor. It needs a person to constantly be there, or a group of people who are always, the ever-present secretary that's always manning it. So for a good 2 years, MMN, and it's still strong. MMN is still strong, but now it's strong in the form of chat and of chat rooms and a Facebook group and this and that. But there was a group of us, and I would say easily 30 or 40 members, who at one time there were always every night from 8 to 10 p.m. between 5 to 10 of us on every night talking. Mm-hmm. Sometimes we get tired of each other and get bored, and then one would leave for a month or two and then come back. Sometimes one guy would be on once a week. Sometimes Mark Lindsay was another one who nightly would get together. Mm-hmm. All these things, if you've ever watched Mark Lindsay's Scratched podcast, or rather not Scratched, Trampled Underfoot, and Eloy, that stemmed from MMN. All of this started because I had a Hangouts group and started a group. We all decided to get together and make it try to make an official, bigger group. Steve got the advantage. He was a web guy, so he started doing their web pages in the beginning for free. Later, he started making money at it and stuff. Well, time goes by. I started doing the hobby boxes. I started getting involved with my I started getting involved with the hobby boxes and with my project up north. So now I have less time and I haven't been showing up as often. Every time one of us shows up less and less and less, it hurts the group. Now it's to the point where I don't know if they're meeting someplace else without me, but as far as I know, I've got a lot of good friends in the group and they say no, but regardless, I miss the group. I'm starting a new one. Because MMN is still around, and I still post every now and then. But the group that is MMN, I guess they're burned out from, I don't know if it's COVID or they've all moved on to different things, like I did for a while, and we all do. We all, I took 6 months off. It's been almost a year that I haven't been regularly showing up. Not that long. I guess since January. So almost a year, I guess. And so I'm starting that up again because just for kicks. And honestly, for a while, I was chatting with Dave every day. But Dave has been busy as of late, so he's doing his own things now and stuff. And we used to chat daily, as I chat with Russ just about every day, and a few others that I talked to. I talked to Bob. I talked to a bunch of my friends. We've all become fast friends, and we. Like before it was phone calls, now I'll do a 5 or 10 minute chat. Hey, how's it going? Or up for a chat? Yeah. Up for a chat? No. And whatever. But I still have a good, aside from my friends here, aside from my family, aside from all my different groups of friends locally, I have what I consider a very treasured woodworking group of friends of 30 or 40 people at least, that I speak to on an almost daily basis and share my day, and they share theirs. And it's some I speak to, like Russ, more often than others at the moment, and that grows and that falls. I mean, it's life. It's like everything else. It's a beautiful thing.
It's a beautiful thing.
Yeah. So he says he got his Z-axis working. It was grunt. Okay, yeah. Wait a second. I saw that one already? He must have posted it again. Yeah. Okay. Gotcha. Must have done a copy paste by accident, but I did see that. Yeah. So yeah, I'm looking forward to that. I wonder if Chad is still just sitting back and listening, or if he's already gone away.
Oh, he's working with them kids. You can't do anything with them kids.
Yeah, I know that. I was speaking of kids. Well, Chad, if you're still listening, my oldest, off to college. I think they're about the same ages as his. I'm trying to remember. My oldest is off to college, and she's in Central Florida now, and it's she's happy. Rough first day, but she's acclimated and she's happy. And the youngest, a year and a half away. It's a beautiful thing. I'll be a somewhat empty nester. I'm looking forward to that. I really am. Yeah. Yep.
It was great when it first happened, but then you start looking for them. They keep calling, and just, are they coming back?
Yeah. No, exactly. I mean, I don't expect to be alone with my wife for the rest of my life. I expect, the grandkids will come, and I expect the kids will come visit and stuff. And I expect, particularly in the beginning, I don't know if I'm wrong, but this is how it was with me. So I'm expecting this is how it is with my kids when they're busy with trying to get quality time for the husband and wife, and with new jobs and new lives and new houses or whatever. I expect when the new kids come around, no, not the money.
You're going to be babysitting.
The babysitting. Yep.
That's what I knew it.
That's exactly what I'm getting at.
And you better get ready for it.
I expect when the kids come around, and I'm looking forward to it. I'm looking forward to it.
It's all
I'm
fun.
not building a 3,200 square foot house for only myself. I mean, I'm doing a 3,200 square foot shop for me.
Put them in the shop there and have a skateboard so they can play in there.
There you go. I'm having a 3,200 square foot house, so I have more than enough room to sit and watch TV while they're screaming at the other end. But I know better. I'm not stupid. If they're anything like I was, and my kids were, they're going to be screaming on skates or on a skateboard all throughout the whole house.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, it's going to be a trip. And remember now, you're not as young as you used to be.
But the beautiful thing is, hang on, they got another, let's see, member
Chris
request.
Yep,
Chris I'm about to, I'm going to go over there and approve them now as soon as I can. Why is this? Okay, refresh. Come on, refresh. There we are. Yeah, and so when the beautiful thing, and I think you'll agree with this, Russ, you being a grandparent, and I haven't gotten there yet, but I know what's coming. The
Oh
beautiful
yeah.
thing is, and I've heard it many times from many comedians, is that when you're frustrated and you're done with them, or at the end of the day, most of the time, unless they're staying for the weekend, you can send them home.
Yep. Well, we enjoyed sugar and give them a lot of sugar, and then sending them
Yes.
home.
Yeah, that's the
We
key.
sent them home all sugared up.
The key is make sure I have a lot of ice cream. So a lot of ice cream,
Oh
because
yes. Well,
two
you will,
things
knowing you.
two things I want is to give them a lot of sugar, and and if the parents, if my kids leave my grandkids far longer than I want, give them a lot of ice cream, so then they'll be sick to their stomach and throwing up all night.
Ah.
No, of course I don't want
Oh.
that. Of course, I'm just kidding. But think about it. That'll let's see here. One of the benefits of being a grandparent, Mike says, is you can hype the kids up with a lot of caffeine, and then that send that back home all wound up. Yeah, I'm
Yeah.
looking forward to that so bad. I mean, it's funny because I don't remember, my kids weren't like that. I mean,
Mine were.
well, you know why? You know why I don't remember it probably? I think I know the reason. Is my wife was very strict on school nights. Obviously, they 8 o'clock, 9 o'clock. So even if they were in their room, they couldn't. I mean, unless they had to go to the bathroom, they had to go to bed, kind of thing. And my kids took after my wife in sleeping in getting to bed early, waking up early. Now they're a little bit more like me, which is not necessarily a good thing as far as night owlness. I imagine my
Yeah.
no, but they still wake up. They still have to wake up early, and they're very very responsible. So, oh yeah, that's I missed that one. Jason says buy them loud toys also. Absolutely, absolutely. Yeah, yeah. My grandkids are getting a drum set if they want one.
My problem is that drum set would stay at my house. The
Yeah,
parents
that's the
wouldn't let it go
yeah.
home with them. I said, "Oh, that's
That's
theirs. Take it with you."
yep. That's the only issue. That's the only issue. Yep. Yeah, noisy play guns, machine guns. Yep, that'll do it. But when I when my kids were growing up, I mean, hey, well, every parent says this, but they were great kids, and they still are. They're great kids, and but the thing is, uh, I'm I would always most of the time I'd sleep late. I mean, it could be 2 or 3 in the morning, but most of the nights it was late was only 11 or 12. I mean, gone were my youth of going to bed at 10 a.m. and waking up at 2 or 4 p.m. And those were great times, great times. But
Hmm.
I got to tell you, as far as the kids are concerned, I never had an issue, and I'm sure I'm not going to have an issue with the grandkids because my wife's pretty strict, and so they'll make sure they go to bed early, wired or not, and and but yeah, we'll definitely sugar them up for the ride home.
Oh, Chris says if they pull out a drum, he'll grab his banjo. Have a
There,
good time.
oh,
It'll be a
that's
swinging
cool.
night at the Nealon house.
There you go. There you go. Ooh, I loves that bluegrass. Uh bluegrass and Appalachian mountain music.
uh,
That's some good stuff. Some good stuff. I gotta now you got me wanting to watch some YouTubes of Steve Martin and others.
oh yeah, with his banjo playing.
Yeah, I love it.
It's pretty
Him
good.
and well, that's one of my two favorite videos. Probably, I mean, I listen to a lot of wouldn't you wouldn't tell by looking at me, but I listen to a lot of banjo, um, and or a bit of it, quite a bit of it, I would say. And well, here's the thing: I listen to a lot of. I listen to so many different pieces of music. About the only thing I don't listen to is acid rock because I don't like it, and nobody in my family likes it. I listen to pop because I can't get away from it because of the kids. So I know all the latest, 21 Pilots and all those songs. Well, I got girls and they're listening to it all the time. Dad, can I have the radio? Yeah.
Yeah.
I'm a father. They're a girl. They're girls. I gotta give them the radio. I listen to Weird Al because that's one of my favorites. I listen to classic rock and all that. Then there's some country. My wife and I both enjoy country, but I am a particular, and I'm the only one in the house that enjoys banjo music and that heavy duty stuff. And I'm a big fan of. It's funny. Two of my favorite, not bands, but I mean, because it's not like they. One is. I haven't seen if they put out any more records. These three kids, Sleepy Man Banjo Boys or something.
You got me, buddy.
Oh, you gotta watch them. Oh, here.
I don't know about that.
Let me see. Oh, you don't like banjo music?
I'm not a real big fan of it. I can listen to it, but I'm not going to go crazy and going for it all day long.
Okay, so you gotta watch. Oh my God, they're touring in 2020. Holy cow!
Yeah, the blues is. I'm with you, Mike. I'm a big blues fan.
Oh, blues are great.
I love the old blues.
I love the blues. I got the blues. Yeah, one of my favorite blues songs is one by Weird Al.
Oh, come on.
Okay, I'll sing an excerpt of it, if I may. Boom, I'm doing a little bit faster than he normally would. Ain't got no money. I'm just walking down the road. Ain't got no money, honey. I'm just walking down the lonely, lonely old road. I wish I could get me some money, but I forgot my automated teller code. So, yeah. That Weird Al, he sure can sing the blues. So I like that kind of a twist on the blues, but I've obviously the blues. Jazz is probably Joe Bonamassa.
Joe Bonamassa
freaking fantastic.
He's good. He is damn good.
Yeah. Guitar, piano, jazz, soft jazz. I relax to those.
I like jazz, New Orleans jazz, that kind of jazz. I like.
My wife and I we hit the the hot tub outside just about. Well, I probably hit it just about every day. She hits it whenever she gets a chance. Because school, I got to tell you guys, and this is I applaud. People ask, "Oh, who are your heroes during this COVID?" Got to be teachers. Mm-hmm. Gotta be teachers. I mean, aside from many others, obviously the medical professionals, but teachers, I almost said the S word, the crap they got to go through. They really got to go through so much crap because think about it. Okay. You'd think, oh, well, no, the teachers got it great. Now their students are not in there. So they are, look, it's my wife would take, any day would take a class full of students over what she has to go through now, which is she's got to deal with the students online.
Mm-hmm.
In her case, her school makes her go to class, so they actually all operate from class.
Right.
So she still has to be present at school, even though the kids are not, and she's got to teach, 30 kids or however many kids are in the classroom, 25, 30. For each class via online. Now, luckily, my wife is extremely learned. She got a minor in computer science, so she's real good with all the newfangled stuff. But imagine all the hundreds of thousands of teachers that have to learn Zoom. They have to learn Microsoft Teams. They have to all different, types of depending on the counties
Yeah.
or the schools mandatory way of teaching. And the kids, most of them are ditching. They're not learning at all. They're showing up for one class a week sometimes. Sometimes they're, I saw one kid who posted something that he had a cardboard cutout of himself made up.
Oh, come on.
They just stood there like this, just looking down.
That's creative, dang it.
It's freaking awesome. I mean, all he had to do is make a 3D model of himself, and all he has to do is just have a little thing on the rocking chair going like this, and the teacher, I mean, there's, are you paying attention? Are you paying attention? And then if he has his glasses like this or whatever, and the cardboard cutout, you don't know whether he's asleep or awake. So you could assume he's awake all the time. And but anyway, yeah, I mean, kids get very creative, and those are the ones that have to prove that they're there. But they're, anyway. So like I said, teachers, they're the big ones. But going back to the hot tub, when I'm there, it's usually classic rock or some type of jazz, or blues sometimes, but or banjo music. It's funny, all the ones we mentioned. But my wife will alternate between 80s. Sometimes I'll choose 70s,
70s.
Classic rock,
70s,
country. And we have a different genre. We'll sit there for however long, and just relax to that music. I mean, it's fantastic. You got to detox.
Oh yeah, yeah. I go from the 60s to the 80s of classic rock.
Yeah,
but I like the blues. See, I got my Sirius XM. I've got that in the house, and I got it in my truck.
Yeah,
and
Now one thing
I play the blues. My wife is not into it like me.
Yeah, when it comes to Sirius XM, it's either Jeff and Larry's Comedy Roundup.
Yeah.
Which I will listen to when I'm in the car constantly, or, and this you'll disagree with me, Channel 7.
Channel 7.
Which is 70s.
70s. That's mine is just almost always on Channel 7.
Really?
Yeah, my wife and I both like 70s rock.
Well, yeah. Well, here's the thing, though. They play 70s rock, but just as often, they play 70s disco.
Yeah, I know.
I particularly like the disco.
I particularly like the early 70s. They did that this weekend. They played 70 to 74.
Yeah, you like don't throw it all away on love, don't throw it all away on love.
Okay.
And I'm more like at the car wash.
I like that too. But
yeah, Cool in the Gang. Oh man, those are some great music,
oh yeah.
Every now and then you'll hear, it's so funny. We make fun of them. There was a time where I loved them in the 70s. There's a time where I sunk my head in the sand, like in the 80s, or rather in the 90s, and I didn't want to admit that I ever liked the Bee Gees. And then there was a time where now, Gloria Gaynor, that's another one. And then there's a time now that when I hear that bum 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 bum, it's like, ah!
I tell my wife in the early 70s, the Bee Gees, their ballad days will come on. She don't know who that is. I said, hey, that's the Bee Gees. She says, what? And I said, yeah, that was in their ballad days before disco came out.
Yeah, exactly.
I like their ballad days.
All right, Jason, have a wonderful evening. I think I'm also going to shut her down for the night. Chris hated disco, but now he sort of likes it. That's funny. I loved it, hated it, and then liked it again. It's the strangest thing. But we all will survive, and with that, I'll leave you guys. So you guys all have a wonderful evening, and I'll probably see you on here tomorrow if you're there. Good night, all.
Good night, everybody.